I wanted to show a little bit more of this grain on buckskin for those folks that are interested. It's very nice. So I just softened this hide yesterday, and this is something I've been wanting to do for years. I think like 6 years ago, I and my partner at the time had like a hide saved in the freezer with the grain on to do buckskin with, and it's taken me until now to actually do it. So here's the hide. So it's very small hide. So this is just buckskin done in the brain tan buckskin style of a white-tailed deer. And the only thing that's different is just that the grain layer of the skin is left on, which customarily isn't done. The grain is taken off. And yeah, so I have seen this style of leather here and there over the years, and then just this past year, for those on Instagram, Feral Lion, also known as Joan Kovac, and also Willa Moore, who is on Instagram as Scraggedy Rocket right now. With each of those two folks, I got to see and handle some green on brain tan deer they had done, and it was just so nice. And I was just like, okay, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. And I think Jones was, I want to say red deer or Sitka deer. They were living in Alaska, so it was a small species of deer. And then Willa's, I think, was white-tailed deer. But both of them were tanning hides that were small and thin-skinned, and the style of tanning came out well. So I've been waiting since last summer for the right hide to come along for me to do this with, because I was waiting for a hide that was small and quite thin. So this was a white-tailed deer that was a buck, but like it had only just barely started to have its little horn nubs poking through its fur, so it was very young and very small. The hide was very thin, so it was perfect, and it turned out fabulous. But as you can see, it's a small hide, right? It's pretty small, but it's softened completely, and that's the texture of it. So you can see the grain there, as opposed to the membrane side, which looks more like typical buckskin there. It's weird, it almost has like the grain almost has a plasticky sort of feel, like not in a bad way, just in a really interesting way. Yeah, almost like it would make really nice gloves or something. But Willa, I feel like I remember Willa had this style of leather she had dyed, I think with onion skins. And I remember the leather was extremely nice. Like the grain took on a lot of nice pigment. And I saw that and I was just like, oh my god, this is a luscious type of leather. Holy crap. But I haven't smoked this yet, so when I smoke it, obviously, it won't be bright white anymore. I still need to cut off the edges. For me, when softening buckskin, I often have crinkly edges, so I just cut those off. I don't worry about that, and just use that just for something else. But just the difference there between the grain on, and here's a typical grain off buckskin. This one has been smoked, so it's dark colored already, but just texture wise, see that difference? Yeah, it's nice. You know, it's like it's shiny. The grain on the brain tan, the grain on brain tan buckskin, it's very shiny. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I show this stuff to be like, like I'm definitely one of those people that's like, there's not like the ideal kind of leather to make and the lesser ideal kind of leather. Like a lot of what I do and what I love is like exploring, how much diversity can you create from skin? Even if you just have one species of animal and you're on one landscape, how many different kinds of material can give birth from that one skin and that one species of animal to serve all the different uses and needs of life, right? It's like some hides I want with the hair on, brain tan. Some hides I want with the hair off, vegetable tanned, or hair on, vegetable tanned, or, grain off, brain tanned, or, it's just like, or rawhide, um, or recently like taking the hair off and like spinning the fur instead for yarn. So I just think all that stuff is really, I find it very moving, and I also find it like something deeply intelligent and something deeply human. So yeah, I encourage folks to do this. Try brain tan buckskin with the grain on. I've never seen a really thick, large hide done this way, so I don't know if it would work well or not. I kind of had the sense that it's a little easier to do on thin hides, but I don't know. Maybe give it a go. Maybe it'll work just fine. Yeah, there it is. So nice. So nice. Mmm. Has that fresh buckskin smell. This hide also softened really easily. I didn't have to work, real darn hard. Though I am starting to experiment more with more ringings. I mean, brain tan buckskin was the first style of leather and tanning that I ever learned about, that I ever learned how to do. And, it took me a long time. When I first was starting, I started with the work of Matt Richards. It took me like at least a year and a half to just feel like I had some grasp on it, and like could come out with some kind of consistent buckskin. But I say that to be, like I have been familiar with buckskin the longest out of all the different styles of tanning that I like to do now. And I am still learning about buckskin. Okay, like brain tan furs was the first type of fur tanning I got into, and I am still learning about brain tan fur tanning, as well as I am still learning about vegetable tanned furs. I am still learning about vegetable tanned hair off leather. I'm starting to learn fat tanning. Like I am always continuing to learn, even if I have like gotten over the hump of this particular method, like gotten past the like masochistic beating my head against the wall, constant existential crisis of like throwing in hundreds or more hours into something and it just, like not feeling successful. So, once I get over that hump with something and I stop having existential crises about it all the time, it doesn't mean I stop learning. Like even still, like I still keep learning and keep exploring. And I believe that would happen if I were to continue to tan until the day I die. That would continue to happen until the day I die. Yeah, so just to say, like, I'm just now experimenting more with like ringing more. Like I've been a person that like I only ring a hide like twice when I'm tanning buckskin. And, and sometimes I just feel like I kill myself softening buckskin. Like I have to work way too hard. So I avoid softening buckskin because I'm just like, it's just like it kills me. I procrastinate about it. So now I'm like, yeah, why don't I just try like what people say of just like wringing the hide a lot and seeing if it's, if the softening is easier. So I wrung this hide like 4 or 5 times and it did soften really easily. It's a thin hide, so I think I'm going to keep doing that more. Just like put in the extra hours to wringing a hide versus, having to potentially soften a hide twice, which sucks. So yeah, just want to show that. Give it a try. Grain on, buckskin. Everything is the same. There's no other special step other than that you just leave the grain on, which means for me that I also have to like rinse the hide longer. After dehairing a hide that has the grain left on, that's swelled from lye, I use wood ash, to me always takes much longer to rinse than a grain off hide. So for me, in cold weather and cold water, I'll easily rinse a hide with the grain on for 4 or 5 days, instead of 1 day. But that's the only difference. Yeah, so nice. Okay, that's it. Bye-bye, everybody.